program entitled Death, we look at how different individuals and cultures approach the issues of death through rituals and beliefs. It looks at the industries revolving around death and the professionals that work in the field. Just a word of caution though, the first 5 minutes of this episode feature an autopsy with visuals of an actual autopsy. These visuals may affect sensitive viewers. But that's all coming up after the break.
It was a delicate operation. An operation that resulted in the best looking and the best equipped 130 Midge of all time, giving you more of the Midge for less of a price. The Midge 130 at your Mazda dealer now.
And ask him about the Mazda Fin free insurance plan available while stocks last.
Tika, come on, boy. I don't know if you deserve this. I've seen you teasing Max, and I've seen the way you look at the goldfish. And where did you hide my scarf? It's packed full of lovely meat. Don't you meow at me, my boy. Come on, then.
Whiskers Croquettes is so tasty it's totally irresistible. And as it's made with fresh meat, it's full of natural goodness. Whiskers, the world's most preferred cat food.
John, look, I just have to have it. How much? Het jy enough geld?
I'll go and draw nog.
Standard Bank, South Africa's leading credit card issuer, links you with a global network for easy cash withdrawals from MasterCard, Cirrus ATMs everywhere.
900.
What's more, with every purchase, you'll accrue accolades points.
Dis maar 'n lekker bloody skelm, nee.
Lekker bly en geniet julle vakansie.
Standard Bank. With us, you can go so much further.
Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. One short sleep past, we wake eternally. In all our cultures, death is not the end, but the beginning of the great journey. The human imagination sees even beyond death. We believe that our actions while alive will dictate our fate in the afterlife. For those left behind, every death is another bitter milestone, a reminder of our mortality and a challenge to face life without the dead. While the spirit may embark on its mystical journey, the body continues on its own adventure of ritual and mourning. It may well begin its travels on the steel gurneys of the morgue.
When they opened the door of the fridge,
this one body there, sort of very broken body,
Identifying him
and the first thing I noticed was sort of beautiful beads around this guy's neck.
it was like looking at a still life, really.
That sort of gave me the first clue that he was young.
It was almost beautiful.
There's a sadness around you the whole time, seeing people coming around.
People almost had this glow about them.
I found that very humorous.
Afterwards, those bodies flash in your head.
The reality of death, that everybody dies.
My job involves doing post-mortems mostly, finding out the cause of death. Of course, we always get unnatural cases here.
I'm a sergeant here, I'm a dissector. In other words, I cut the bodies for the doctor.
I used to be in private practice. That became a bit tedious and boring for me, so I embarked on this forensic journey that I always wanted to do. The body comes in through the police They bring us the body here. There's a police docket that accompanies the body, giving us a bit of a history.
And I started about 2 years ago to cut bodies, and it was very sad, and it's still sad.
Gunshot victims, stabbings, hangings, motor vehicle accidents.
I feel very sad, but somebody has to do it.
We do a full post-mortem in all cases.
1.8 meters, 110 kilos. 9 millimeter. Ellipsoid penetrating wound.
We remove all organs and we examine everything.
Obviously this is a gunshot victim. It's got 2 bullet holes, one each on the side of the head, probably suicide.
It's like, people who are doing admin. They go to their work and they do the job, so it's like the same here.
Academically, it's very interesting for me. I enjoy finding out things and trying to put the puzzle together. Bodies do move in the mortuary. You get a state of rigor mortis where the muscles stiffen. There comes a stage where that muscle stiffening relaxes. So an arm that's sort of prop-toesed up will suddenly fall onto the table.
It's when you take the people for identification and they start crying, and you can do nothing, you just stand there.
I've had 2 or 3 bodies where I've known the actual deceased patients. And in those cases, I don't often do the post-mortem. I hand it over to a colleague.
When they shoot policemen and you know the guy or any family, you get it sometimes and it makes you feel sad.
If it's a person that I don't know, I don't feel anything. I'm quite cold-hearted when it comes to that.
I always wondered what was the last thought that went through that person's brain, especially when he was murdered. But sometimes I should like to go back to the police station.
Life is very cheap and very quick. Anybody can die at any time. Everything is temporary.
Esophagus, okay. Tongue, okay.
You tend to lose respect for life. You're seeing so much crime and so many accidents, young people, middle-aged people.
I feel sorry for them, but you must cut yourself off from them.
I enjoy life now, living it on the edge, living day by day without making any plans.
So all of us have to go some other time, we have to go.
Commemorating the dead is one of our species' first cultural achievements. A fitting funeral is not only a memorial to the deceased, but also to appease their watching spirits.
How'd I like to be buried?
The thought of being buried in this little box with all this earth on top of me, it scares me to death.
Well, I'd rather try and claw myself out of the ground.
Worms and, infesting on my flesh.
What if I'm not really dead?
Being trapped in a coffin, buried under soil.
I'd rather sort of burn myself out.
We were carrying the coffin up the stairs and my grandfather's body moved.
The African funerals are incredibly sad.
Long black cars and things, It's just...
There's a lot of making it very sad. There's a lot of wailing.
Going to a funeral is like going to a party.
Their cell phones ring.
You kept getting your name wrong. The person would hate this.
Young girls, sometimes they go there to look for partners.
Everybody dressed beautifully in black.
They were just there to sort of show face.
Shedding tears most fashionably. And
it was just so deep and just so lonely and it was awful.
It's probably good for the people remaining behind.
Until I saw her lying in the coffin, then I realized that she's gone.
The time when he drove off in the hearse and I knew, okay, he's finished.
Marks the end of that person's life and your relationship with them.
It's a very concrete acting out of the reality that this person has died.
The whole of life is a journey. And within the Christian Requiem Mass, we try and deal with the journey that person has taken. We try and celebrate the journey that they have had in life.
It's an important way of also paying last respects and acknowledging the significance that person had in your life.
The requiem that would be held typically would be held at a funeral parlor or at the site of the funeral or burial place.
It's not just another day. You don't just carry on. It marks a significant transition.
The funeral ritual allows people to understand that
the body is temporary and the soul is eternal.
The saying farewell in a fairly dramatic form that psychologically would actually aid you in the process of understanding that this is final and dealing with the grief.
Western culture is very much more of a society where death is denied and kind of keep a stiff upper lip.
According to ancient laws, a person was not to be buried until he started showing signs of decay.
Buddhism is spread over a large number of cultures, particularly in the East. So within each culture, very specific rituals will have arisen.
When the grave was being dug, people belonging to the dead person's family used to go from village to village borrowing hoes which were used for digging the grave.
In Tibet, what they do with the corpse is they break it up, leave it in a special place in the mountains, and the vultures come and take it.
The shovels were purified by washing them in a mixture of water into which the contents of the gallbladders of the slaughtered animals had been poured.
And the symbols that we use during the ritual try and offer hope to people. So usually in Christian funerals we have the Eucharist, which is a way of bringing the Lord to the people who are there. And we sprinkle the coffin with holy water, reminding the person of their own baptism.
Forasmuch as it hath pleased Almighty God of his great mercy to receive unto himself the soul of our dear sister here departed, we therefore commit her body to the ground. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
A typical pagan ritual which would have all the elements that pagans hold dear, which are the elements or the quarters where we will invoke fire, earth, water and air, where we will invoke our deities. And in that aspect we would typically invoke the deities of death.
As soon as the soul leaves the body of a Hare Krishna devotee, then immediate arrangements are made that cremation be done as soon as possible.
Daai 100 jaar gelede terug, het die mense, daar was nie gewees soos hierdie roudienste.
The body is bathed by devotees and the sacred markings, which are tilak, are put on the body along with sacred beads.
Songs and chants and even offerings of special foods to strengthen the soul.
We constantly chant the holy names of the Lord, as well as read from the holy scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam.
They're addressing the recently departed consciousness and giving it instructions at every stage of the process of dying and post-death. And this can go on for 49 days.
That we can help the departed soul progress closer and closer back to the spiritual kingdom where the soul actually belongs.
Vanaand kom hulle bymekaar en hulle sing en die wat dans. Dit was eintlik hulle is bly vir die een wat weggaan, want hulle kry nuwe ene. En môreoggend bær hulle.
Our people believed that one could still come back from the dead.
Ons het eintlik begrawe ons mense. Het ons nie gelat lê nie. Hulle het regop gesit. Hulle sit so, skuins regop. Meer son op. Want kyk hy sy gees staan op.
In other Buddhist countries, generally they go for cremation.
The body is made up of material elements, and by the process of cremation, the body is again put back into its original elements from which it is made of.
The large majority of our people will not cremate their dead. They believe that fire can destroy a soul.
In cremation, the attachment also of those who are left behind is severed.
This resting place for our brother and sister is not the final end, but just a stepping stone to heaven and eternal life.
And once a year we have what we call the Feast of the Dead, or the Festival of the Dead, which is a festival that is enacted throughout many countries in the world, in Japan, in Mexico.
With this candle and by its light, I welcome you spirits this Halloween night.
And this is the night that we do it on Samhain, which is Halloween, or Old Hallows Eve as is commonly known.
The dark goddess awaits you, the shadowy night.
We believe that the veil has thinned, where the two worlds will meet each other, where we will cross the boundaries, or can, or enabled to cross the boundaries, to reach those who have gone before, where we say very, very straightforwardly to death and fear that we do not fear you.
I relinquish my fear, know my sight, travel in darkness, and no longer in fright.
I am the guardian. Death is no longer.
I now face you without fear, without bitterness, and I bow to you as the Lord of the underworld.
And we will eat from a pomegranate, which is typically known as the seeds of death, which is a male fruit.
Now eat of the seeds of death.
The apple is a feminine fruit, and it is a representation of the fruit of life. If you split the apple open, you will see inside a womb-like feature, and in fact the star, the five-pointed star of life, which is the symbol of pagans.
Eat from the fruit of life.
We willingly come down to the underworld to face you, to face our own fear, and in that process we know we are reborn.
SABC Top Sport presents Song. Perhaps one of the most talented defenders in Africa, Rigo Besson will stand tall at the heart of Cameroon's defense during the 1998 World Cup Finals, brought to you in association with MTN. Standard Bank MasterCard, Castle Lager, Clover, and Coca-Cola.
It's that time of the year again. The SABC is coming to KwaZulu-Natal. Into presenting or acting? Then come along to the SABC stand. Read the news or the weather, interview a celeb and take home the tape. Want to meet your local DJs? Then don't go too far. Radio stations will broadcast live every day. Also join us for not one but two music concerts. Experience the Lotus FM Bangra Extravaganza on the 30th of May and the Ukhozi FM Ubuntu concert, as well as the Parade of the Stars on the 31st of May. On the stand you can also pay your TV license or buy your favorite SABC merchandise. All your favorite personalities will be on the SABC stage. Will you? So don't just sit there. Get prepared. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell just about everybody, and get together with the SABC at the Royal Show Friday the 22nd to Sunday the 31st of May.
If your cat doesn't find Whisker's croquettes totally irresistible, we'll give you your money back. Now isn't that the cat's Whiskers?
We no longer care for the bodies of the dead. To cater for our lack of time, our prudishness, and our fear of confronting mortality, the death industry has blossomed like a dark flower. The undertaker is our broker for the dead.
I do registrations of deaths, I do postmortems, I do embalming, I fly people in and out of the country, I do exhumations, I deal with the deceased, I prepare the deceased, I'm also a qualified florist.
My job is cemetery manager of a number of cemeteries within the Greater Joburg area.
We supply, if not all, the stonemasons, monumental masons, and some of the funeral directors with more on the ornamental side for the monuments, memorials, tombstones, and so on.
You found different people that go into the industry for different reasons.
Trained as a horticulturist, I never ever thought of coming working here as a manager of a cemetery.
When I was younger, I had a feeling, a connection with the funeral industry, but what it was, I wasn't sure until my mom died.
Initially, when I started off in the business, I wasn't too keen on being involved in, if you want to call it, death.
When she died, I found around for prices on funerals, and I found it rather expensive. So I prepared her body, and I had her removed, and had her stored at one of the funeral directors. And on the day of the service, I actually went to the funeral director and coffined her.
I thought of all other things. What else can I do with our product? What else can we manufacture? And I came up with a lot of other things trying to get away from this.
I started off in my lounge, actually. The room where my mom died, I actually made a coffin room. I did a funeral myself, and from there it just went.
Once you started dealing with the customers, and after the years, I'm at the stage now where I'm very proud of what I do.
The number of people that we bury here in the cemetery during winter is about 20 to 25, and in some ranges from 4 to about 12. Different religions and cultures in the cemetery have certain sections in which they can be buried. We have the Roman Catholic section on one side of the cemetery and the Dutch Reformed on the other. The number of people buried here in this cemetery is about 120,000. Certainly a quiet place, a reflective place. I find it very peaceful here.
This is our business. It's not a big profit business, small profit business. We make a living from it.
Yes, it wasn't money. Money wasn't my motivation at all.
It's a form of art as far as I'm concerned. A tombstone to me isn't just a cold thing that gets put in a cemetery. It's something that takes a lot of thought. Here's a sample of a soccer ball that we actually manufactured for a customer for a tombstone. The client, obviously, the member of the family was into soccer. It's fantastic. The detailing is unbelievable.
An undertaker would be a person that does one thing. For instance, he would take the hearse to the church and to the graveyard. Or he would be the mortician where he does embalming. And then you would get your counsellor. The only thing he does is counselling. Now, what I do is everything. I prefer to be there dealing with it hands-on. I find that helps me work through it a little bit better.
We've had people from out of town, more on the farms and so on, that have prize bulls that pass away.
If a call comes in, I deal with them directly, the family. I also deal with the doctors. I also deal with the paramedics, the police.
And the chap would like a bull put on this. He buries bull and he'd actually want a bull put on there.
You should become quite comfortable with the family.
And they're going through a very, very difficult time.
They're shocked. They're actually very confused.
And the public comes here with no idea what to expect, no idea what to put on their stone.
And they trust you. And so you have to think for them.
They actually have to put the telephone down. They can't speak anymore.
I don't socialise a lot anymore.
It makes me wary with my son and my family.
I do not like to tell people what I do, because the minute you tell them you're a funeral director, they start asking you questions.
You obviously realise how fragile life is.
It's not enough that I work with it 24 hours a day. I certainly wouldn't like to go to supper and sit and discuss my work with it, with the people.
It doesn't stop me from doing anything. It doesn't stop me from crossing the road.
I don't know about resting in peace. I'd rather have my ashes just scattered.
Put in a zinc liner and to be sealed with a bit of a document of who I am, where I come from, what kind of work I've done, and to put me in my Nova 1964 hearse and to bury me at sea.
Through an afterlife, we hope for immortality. Here, we seek to make sense of senseless existence and to find redemption from the agonies of life. It is the dream and nightmare of the waking man.
there is life after death.
People believe in the afterlife because...
You've got to do the utmost best while you are here.
Probably because their lives aren't what they had hoped they should be.
After people bury you, and after that, I don't know.
Your body is gone, but you live on.
Just to see Jesus would be wonderful.
We move into different levels of consciousness.
Your brain will shut down, and obviously your energy will go back into the earth.
This strikes me as terribly wasteful that a person should have only one life.
The idea of an afterlife really appeals to me.
I would like to continue in some form, existing in some way beyond death.
People need to soften the blow of death.
My Christian background tells me that there is life after death.
I think when someone dies, they die.
I think if you can know that death doesn't just end with the body decaying, but that there's an afterlife, or that people go on to other things, that can give one a sense of hope.
Most people believe in an afterlife because they have been brought up to believe in an afterlife.
People see hell as this burning inferno and heaven as this place where the clouds are around.
I'm an atheist because I can't think of any good reasons to believe in the existence of God.
We don't believe in a hell, but we certainly believe in a heaven.
Buddhism looks at everything basically in terms of consciousness.
An ending is something breaking down into its constituent parts.
The hell is here while I'm still living.
We go to hell because of our life on this earth.
The living entity could suffer in different hellish conditions for the activities that they've performed.
If we have failed to in somehow incorporate the values of the kingdom,
that is characterized by tremendous amount of suffering, physical suffering. Even more than the physical suffering is the total absence of any God consciousness.
That hell is a place without God. There is sadness, there is despair, and there is no hope.
If in life, to use a negative example, you habitually kill through hatred and cultivate very negative attitudes towards other beings, you create the causes for a pretty hellish mind state.
On the heavenly kingdoms, there's tremendous enjoyment, and there's also facility for God consciousness.
And heaven is that place where you are united with those who have gone before you, where you are united with a God who brought you into the world.
And then the heavens when I'm dead.
In believing in an afterlife, people are moved as much by their hopes and their fear.
Because I know my spirit will go to God.
So it is in part our caring about things beyond our own life.
Reincarnation specifically deals with the material world.
Every time you think, every time you speak, every time you act, you generate a karmic force.
It is according to the thoughts and deeds of a person. Yamaraj decides what is the punishment and what is the bodies that the particular soul will take on.
And we're completely in charge of our future in that we can determine now what sort of future we want and act accordingly to produce those effects.
One could take birth in any one of those 8,400,000 species of life.
So if, for example, in this life, you develop a lot of intelligence, you use your mind wisely, human birth would be the most appropriate. If, on the other hand, you generated a state of consciousness which was very dull, let's suppose you never really want to use your mind, then that might draw you to the form that most expresses that, which could be an animal.
A human being can definitely go down and right to the very lowest species, depending on how we use this human form of life.
We can go on doing it for an incredibly long time. Basically, until we make a decision to start doing what is necessary to break the cycles.
In our quest for spiritual immortality, we search the depths of our complex minds and look to the hidden past for answers.
A past life is a previous existence, one that we're living now, where you will have lived a life as a human. The technique of past life regression is a technique closely related to hypnotism.
Let me see what happens. So, I mean, that was my first step, and I kind of got here quite nervously one day. I was like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen.
Know that any sounds that you hear, including the sound of my voice, will not disturb you at all. They will merely enhance the relaxation that you are feeling. Past life therapy is very beneficial for people who have got present life behavioral problems, emotional problems.
I didn't think the hypnosis was working at all. I was kind of happily feeling quite relaxed, thinking, well, if nothing else, there was a good hour of lying on the bed.
Breathing deeply, nasal breath, no break between the in and the out breath. Breathing in and out. And
absolutely dead relaxation. You're just really heavy.
I now want you to visualize this ball of energy leaving the top of your head. Feel it spinning out of you.
To a point, it almost feels like I'm then going through the bed and then kind of like out, sort of through the top of my head here. It's like, vroom. It's just, okay, here I go. I'm going to have a look. And let me go and learn something, and I'll be back.
You're going to land on the other shore, in another time and another place. 5, 4, back, 3, 2. You notice that the mist is lifting. 1. You're standing on a surface. You look down at the feet. Tell me what you see.
My feet are brown.
Are they of a man or a woman or a child?
A woman's feet. About 25. About now.
What are you wearing?
White robes, white clothing.
What are you standing on?
Sand. Lots and lots of sand. It's hot sand. I can't see, they're veiled. I can't see who it is.
Call to them.
She's calling me. Where are we going? Where are we going? Come with me. It is time. Come with me. Because I never felt at ease in the beginning. From the beginning I felt very strange. And it was like, I'm climbing the camel with her. On the back of a camel now. I can hear singing. I can hear chanting. I can hear bells. It's a chanting.
Just move yourself down, slow down, breathe deeply, breathing deeply, relaxing.
I knew something bad was coming. I knew something that I was scared of was coming, but I didn't know what. There's so many people chanting. It's so loud. I'm terrified. It's like they're taking me somewhere for something. I don't know what.
For a moment, take a deep breath.
I don't have a choice. I'm being drawn.
I want you to step out of that body, to stand aside. Feel yourself stepping out.
It's like a pyramid. It's like massive stones. Small entrances going to dark tunnels. I mean, I've had a major thing with claustrophobia my whole life. I mean, somebody has to stand too close to me and it's like...
Pull yourself away to a distance.
Take a deep breath.
Please, no! Breathe in. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Listen to my voice. Listen to my voice. You are safe and secure.
I recognize that same emotion, that same panicking feeling of like, don't put me there, don't force me to go into this black hole.
If it is traumatic, I do pull them back so that they're able to witness it and to experience it, but not to experience the emotions of it.
Like, I am a sacrifice to somebody, for somebody.
Can you
somebody has died, and I have to go with him. My master is dying, he's dead. He must have me to go with him, so I can serve to him in the after years. I feel so safe. I know I've done good. I'm going to move on now.
You've left.
I've left. It's gone.
Good. I take them through death every single lifetime.
Yeah, they were actual death experiences.
And I take them through without fail.
And it was just like the whole inside of my stomach just opened up into brilliantly coloured butterflies. They just flew high and out the windows of the building and stuff. They just, as they disappeared, so I knew I'd now actually passed away.
I've had 3 instances where the people have actually sat up and they felt cured of their fear of death. Slowly, feel yourself entering at the top of your head. Slowly opening your eyes, coming back to full consciousness. Coming back to today. Good. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you. So heavy, I promise you.
When they sit up on that bed afterwards,
when I come out of a trance, when I come out of a regression, I feel very, very heavy. I feel very satisfied, deeply satisfied.
And you can see that something about them has really changed.
I was supposedly like Merlin, or one of the Merlins, so it was quite like bizarre.
Where she regressed to the lifetime of Merlin, the great magician, in the times of King Arthur.
It's not like you want to jump up and start dancing at all. It's just realization, the most amazing realization.
It's the law of karma, of cause and effect, and the way you think and the way you live out your life and the way you cope in your situations. These are the secrets to unraveling what you have been and what you will be.
There are voyages that claim adventures to the furthest lands, to have returned enlightened, renewed, and fervent in faith. Dead men do tell tales.
I don't know very much about near-death experiences at all. I certainly haven't had one myself.
I decided to take a kind of poison and to end this misery.
And my heart stopped. And this is when I experienced this beautiful, beautiful place.
I had horrible cramps in my stomach. I screamed like a goat, and all consciousness went out of my head.
That moment when you go into this experience, you're just directly in it, you know, and there's no logic.
It hasn't been, to the best of my knowledge, set up in a really systematic way and investigated scientifically.
I suddenly found myself drifting in the midst of the purest gold.
Bright light.
I became aware of a sound.
Beautiful singing.
Beautiful smells.
Everybody's happy.
Amazing music.
That peace, that tranquility.
It seemed as if I was flying through the tunnel.
Bright light. It looked like the rays of the sun.
Ahead of me, there was this slowly spinning blue light.
It looked like a rainbow. The sky was the most beautiful blue you can ever think of.
And then I emerged into this beautiful place.
I saw people behind this gate, and but you can't identify them.
A beautiful valley.
Then I realized I'm with somebody.
I encountered a presence. Now, it could be a projection of my own mind. I don't know.
It's very easy to be deceived about these sorts of things.
I could feel the weight of God's hand in my hand.
Coming towards me was a Zulu warrior.
And a choice was given to me. I could either go on with this life, or I could go.
And he said to me, you've got to go back. I've got work for you.
He said, look behind you. Go back. There is your wife.
My life was passing through, you know, in flashes. I could see my life.
I saw my wife, Cecilia, beckoning to me.
And I understand exactly what the purpose of my life was at that stage.
And when I opened my eyes, it was like the fluorescent tube of the hospital over me.
Pain fades away and an amazing quiet settles over everything.
And I opened my eyes and I looked, and he had a beard with, you know, hair hanging. But I looked and I said, are you Jesus?
I found myself back in my body again.
And he said, no, I'm Dr. Myatt.
And when I made my choice, this presence was slowly diminished. There was more clarity. in terms of what is the meaning of life? What am I here for?
It is not clear evidence that there is an afterlife.
You come to the real essence of what life is really all about.
I saw the place you go to when you die, and I would love to be there.
And that sports star is Baby Jake Matlala.
The people of South Africa voted Baby Jake Matlala as the sports star of 1997. But the Victor Awards do more than just reward our brightest stars. The SABC Victor Awards also builds facilities for tomorrow's superstars. For the good of all South African sport from top to bottom, in association with People's Bank, Total and Vodacom.
51, 52, 53. From time to time, when you just can't sleep, take new Nitol. Just 2 tablets and Nitol gently helps you fall fast asleep. Try new Nitol, only available from your pharmacist. And say, good Nitol.
Human culture and legend are replete with the intervention of the dead, shadow beings that alter our reality and impact our lives. They are flashbacks to our early human imagination, making fearful sense of the darkness.
I do believe in ghosts, though I've never seen one.
For a while I did still feel her around.
That I do not believe that I've experienced anything like that.
I really don't believe in things like that.
I had a husband who was extremely possessive.
Whenever I play the flute or play the piano, I feel this incredible sort of presence.
I had this bizarre feeling that if I started dating again,
this warmth, this love,
he would come and get me.
And I used to go to bed for quite some time after she died, and I used to be quite scared.
Ancestors are there. You cannot deny it.
I was convinced she would visit me.
Those are the immediate people you can talk to.
Ancestors exist just as angels, devil, good and bad spirits.
As ek kennis met die voorvaders vir ons gelos het agter. En dis ook 'n brief. Hoe hulle geleef het. En daar was swaar tye gewees wat hulle moet baie getrek het. Voor ons met die transdans begin, is van die groot mense daar wat met die voorvaders praat. Die rokers wat nou rook nou die kruiebos en die wat hom nou drink hom en dan begin ons nou met die transdans om die gees te kry van die voorvaders. Dan in die gees praat ons met die voorvaders om ons oë oopmaak en vir ons die helder te laat sien. Baie kere die area baie droog is. As ons nou kry nie reën nie, dan gaan ons terug in die transdans in vir die gees. Kyk, die voorvaders, hulle heers oor ons. Hulle hou 'n wak.
In Africa, a dead person is sometimes just as important, if not more so, as a living one.
I'm a Sangoma, which we call ourselves traditional healers.
The role of the Sangoma really is that of a diviner, a spirit medium.
It was a gift from my ancestors.
And so the relationship, it's more like a dialogue between the living and the dead, continues even beyond death.
To us, there really is no death.
They're not really dead, are still living in different form, and we still maintain dialogue with them.
The burying of a dead person is not the end of the story.
We commune with them We share belongings with them. We share life experiences with them.
They're purified people because already they've crossed the river and they are now with God.
We coexist with them. They are with me now.
It can be the beginning of a story that can go on for several generations.
The big one, it's for my father's clan. And that one, it's for my mother's clan. And this one, it's myself as a child. So I brought them together.
You can summon a person who is dead.
The smoke invites them. The smoke of the impurple.
Communication varies from family to family, tribe to tribe, and spirit to living person.
Asking whatever you're asking to our ancestors, you must first light the candle and then pray. You ask more luck from them. You ask more good things, good life, long future. It's sometimes the vision, sometimes the voice.
This spirit is inside you.
Sometimes you communicate when you are sleeping.
You will hear its voice.
They're all over, everywhere. When they give you instructions, you don't take them. Or you don't fulfill those instructions, then you'll suffer.
Okay, my friends, just to relax completely. Let go. No. The people they come here mostly, some of them, they want to communicate with the loved one, with the son die or the loved one. They want to communicate because they want confirmation if they still alive. I saw them from a child. But to me it was a nature. And I'm doing healing for 22 years. Very strong. Look, you know that somebody used to work in the mine. You have a lamp here. Come here, it's never George, understand? But it's here by you. You cannot control the spirit. Spirit can't come whenever you call him. Forget it. No, I want Nick that is dead.
In spiritual.
This is the spirit world? Yes, Nicholas. Okay. Are you brother? Or they can give you some information that they still love you very much, or some message to uplift you. But he loves you so much, this man, but you feel this tinkle now in your body? But to see them, we have to higher our vibration of consciousness. They are in color, just like you and me, in color. We see them as you are, not as books. I have a man here, he's looking for a little girl. See, I'm looking for my little girl. I'm looking for my little girl. My little girl, 4 years old. The woman there.
Yes.
Tell me something. Your father died when you were 4 years old?
Yes.
You remember him? And this is the man who was looking for his little girl, 4 years old. He said, no, don't must worry, everything's going to be all right. It is so fast because it's in a different vibration. I don't know, there's somebody in the back of you there, They show themselves to us the way they pass away so we can remember the way they are. You have a white dog before?
Yes.
Because I see a white dog with you understand? But it's dead already, the dog. It's a long time ago, you understand? But the dog, even the dog got the spirit world, This woman, she came here, and the son died, he was 21 years old, his son died. And when she came here, she was looking all over. She went to a priest, she read the Bible, everything, but nobody could give her satisfaction. But she wanted to know, is the son alive? So when she came here, I didn't know this woman, and I said to her, there's somebody here, a young man, and he always loses his wallet, he loses. And he's here and he said, you are the mother. And I said, his name is Fritz. And the woman, she starts crying, you understand? So make yourself happy and know that the love and the light of the Christ consciousness is in each and every one of you. But there is no die. You understand? It is all go to higher life.
Folklore immortalizes the spirits of the dead as fearful figures that haunt lives and places. They are the ghosts that live within our nightmares.
A ghost is a spirit of someone who died in very, very intense emotion.
After my stepfather died, I was sleeping in his bedroom, and I had a very clear experience of his walking around the room.
Sometimes you do see a light, a shape of a light. You see, because your vibration is not high enough.
I could feel my heartbeat increase. I wanted to talk to him.
You do get sometimes spirit that they still on the darkness.
I did not actually believe that he was literally there at the time.
They still think they are alive, and they still think they want to have that power to dominate other people.
Treat them with love. Ask them what do they want.
And we explain to them that they're not here anymore, that God he has nothing to forgive them. He forgives them already. They have to forgive themselves and to look for this great light.
It is better to assume that I was deceived.
All the people that they pass away, there is no ghost, there is no spooks. It is people like you and me.
The most fearful aspect of our death is the unpredictability of its arrival. The time, place, and means haunt us. We morbidly rehearse our own death 1,000 times in our mind.
How would you like to die, sicko?
I don't want to die peacefully in my sleep.
The criteria is, how did I live whilst I had the opportunity?
You only get one chance.
I'd like to die on a Wednesday at 3:15 drinking tea.
Ideal way to die would probably be with old age.
Old age would be nice.
I definitely would not like to grow old and die in a hospital bed.
Yes, I think I would prefer to die on a stunt.
I would want to have an extremely violent death.
We don't have a huge amount of control over that.
An extremely painful death.
If it could be quick, I'd be grateful.
So that I would be aware of my dying.
I wouldn't want to die in screaming agony or anything like that.
So that I would be conscious of my moving on to a different chapter.
Depends on where one is in the story of one's life.
Preferably something quite spectacular. If I could involve a bus, a light aircraft, and a flock of nuns, that would be great.
I wouldn't like to suffer a whole lot in dying.
For that split second, I should take every drug in the universe at once.
I think I would like to die in a peaceful environment with people around me with whom I have meaningful relationships.
I don't think I'd like it to be sudden. Being Catholic, I need time to get a confession first and things.
Where there is an openness and not a pretense.
I suppose the most pleasant way to die is kind of in your sleep.
I want my death to be sort of a big going out.
There is a funny side of it.
I'll fight for every last minute of life.
Setting up a camera.
Go out where the waves are big.
Probably prefer to commit suicide.
Reciting poetry.
Just drown.
Motor by grace, but very quickly.
Doing a whole artistic experience.
Dying in a car accident.
I'd like to be really, really old.
And then shooting myself.
There's always going to be a terror there.
To die in my sleep.
Pass away in my sleep.
In my sleep.
To die in my sleep.
And the blood would sort of congeal around the camera.
Prefer to have a chance not to die.
With no pain, you don't suffer anything.
I'm definitely not going to go gently.
Death is a very beautiful thing.
One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. This is the strength of the human mind, to face its own demise in defiant poetry. Our awareness of death is our great motivator. We question the mystery of why we exist, caught between the dust below and the stars above. By defiantly living life, we overcome, briefly, the desperation of our fate. Perhaps that is what it means to be human. In our defiance, we finally conquer death.